Hey everyone, Brian Zane here with my predictions for Survivor Series taking place this Saturday night in Boston, Massachusetts. Of course, the big selling point of this year's Survivor Series is the return of War Games. Of course, it's the main roster debut. Hadn't seen it since NXT. And of course, I did a big video on the history of War Games this week. And if you haven't seen that just yet, you can check it out right here in the corner of your screen. Quick little caveat here, this video is being filmed on a Wednesday. Only 5 matches have been announced so far. There might be something, there obviously will be a big update on Friday on SmackDown, but of course, this was filmed in the past, so we don't know those changes yet. But let's begin with the US Championship Triple Threat match as Seth F. Rollins defends against Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley. Those guys, of course, are former US champions. I like what they've been doing with the US Championship as of late. That and the Intercontinental belt, this push there seems to be of trying to add more prestige and relevance and credibility to what's historically been the mid-card titles. That's a great move in my opinion. And what they've been doing with the Austin Theory as well, the cash in on the US Championship, a lot of people saw that as something kind of silly or dumb, but I think Austin's rationale and his explanation of going for the US Championship because, that's the title, and hey, going against Roman Reigns is kind of a suicide mission because of the bloodline and everything, that was a good explanation, I think. So them using the Money in the Bank as a way to go for the other championships, not exclusively the Universal or WWE belts, I think that's kind of a step in a good direction in my opinion. This could be a great matchup. I'm getting definite vibes of like Lesnar, Cena, Rollins for the WWE Championship at the Rumble pay-per-view many years ago. That's kind of what I'm hoping this match will have some kind of similar vibe to in my opinion. As far as who I think is going to win this one, I don't think Lashley's going to win it. I think it's a toss-up right now for me between Rollins and Theory. Do you have Theory win the belt back and keep whatever his push is keeping going, or do you keep the belt on Rollins because hey, I think him having the belt for a long time would A, add legitimacy to it and make it more of the belt to have on Raw. And also, hey, keep it on him because Cody Rhodes will eventually come back. And what a great way to return to that rivalry from this year by having some gold on the line. That is kind of what I'm thinking. So my prediction here is Mr. F. Rollins is going to retain. Ronda Rousey defends the SmackDown Women's Championship against SHOTZI. This one to me feels like an open and shut case. As much as I love SHOTZI, I just don't see a scenario in which she will win this match in the championship here. I feel that maybe Ronda could be kind of holding on to it for perhaps a return by Charlotte. I don't know, where's she been for the last several months? I think maybe the time would be right soon for her to come back and maybe try and go for the belt that she lost to Ronda. But yeah, I mean, that's just all kind of thinking about in the future. As far as this match goes, I don't really have an idea of what it could look like because I feel with Ronda Rousey matches, you really get either a good Ronda match or a bad Ronda match, and there's really nothing in between when I'm watching her stuff lately. So I think as far as who's going to win this one, I think Ronda's going to retain. Finn Balor takes on AJ Styles in a battle of club leaders. Who's the best at doing this? I think in an alternate reality, if War Games wasn't a concept happening at this year's show, we could definitely see a Survivor Series matchup between the OC and Judgment Day. Mia Yim, or Michin as she is now known, is part of the OC at this point to kind of counteract the Rhea Ripley thing. So I think we could definitely be seeing a team matchup at some point down the line with this with the full staff and everything between two sides. As far as this match, I mean, I harken back to TLC 2016 when it was Finn and AJ in an impromptu matchup because Bray Wyatt got sick. And I think that that was a great match. This one I think is also going to be great. AJ and Finn, you can't really go wrong. I'm sure there's going to be some chicanery and some craziness outside with the OC members and the Judgment Day members. The way I see this one shaken out though is I think Finn Balor is going to win, continuing this rebuilding process that the Judgment Day has been doing for a long time and kind of keeping that going. AJ is one of those guys who's kind of, pardon the pun, bulletproof, and I think that he could lose and his stock is not going to lower any. I think that this could lead to something down the line more OC Judgment Day, but in the short term for this match, I believe Finn's going to win. Now we talk about the War Games matches, beginning with the women's. On one side, you got Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Mia Yim / Michin, and a woman to be named this Friday on SmackDown, taking on Damage Control, Rhea Ripley, and Nikki Cross, who, by the way, has now shed the Nikki ASH gimmick a few weeks ago, and she's kind of reverted back to the unhinged version of her that she had in NXT that a lot of people really liked when she was first there in developmental. And I think it's a great move. You know, Nikki ASH began with good intentions. Of course, it was a gimmick that she came up with reportedly, but the booking last year especially really messed that whole thing up and really just kind of set her up to fail, I would argue. So her going back to somewhat of a non-superhero or almost superhero version of herself, I think is a step in the right direction. As far as who could be the fifth woman on Bianca's team, I feel there are a lot of different options, different ways people could go. A lot of people are thinking, oh, maybe Sasha Banks or Naomi could come back. I don't think it's going to be either of those, because I would imagine that those two are kind of a package deal. They left at the same time as a team, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the two of them come back together at some point. So with there be only one spot in this matchup, I don't see that happening. Candice LeRae is another person I thought about today as somebody who could come back, because she might have been written off with injury. That seems to be kind of murky as far as what her actual status was when she was taken off TV last month. Also, Becky Lynch is a candidate. She could be back from her injury and be back to take on Damage Control, because that's kind of who she turned face against a few months ago. So yeah, a few different ways to take this one, and you know, all of them equally valid, I'm sure. I think if I had to go with one guess to who the fifth woman could be, I think it's going to be Candice or Becky, and I'm going to lean more toward Becky Lynch. Just kind of a shot in the dark thing. But I think no matter who the mystery woman is, I believe that that team is going to win because of the added intrigue of, oh, who the mystery person is. So no matter who it is as the fifth woman, I believe Bianca's team is going to win here. Then, of course, there's the main event match, the men's War Games, as the Bloodline. Roman Reigns, the Usos, Solo Sikoa, and of course the honorary Uce, Sami Zayn, taking on the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens. I think this is going to be a fantastic physical matchup. I've been loving the Brawling Brutes the last few months. They have become one of my favorite acts in WWE this year. Of course, Sami Zayn's been killing it, doing the stuff with the Bloodline, honorary Uce, all the different relationships he has with like Roman Reigns and with the Usos. That stuff's phenomenal. Kevin Owens coming back and the relationship he has with Sami Zayn. That could be really interesting to dive into as well. There are a lot of different ways to go with this one and to pick who the winners could be here. I mean, I have so often in these like tag team kind of settings say, well, this feels like a good time for the Bloodline to take a pin every once in a while. Have somebody, this gives some momentum to the person who will be challenging for the belt next, whether it's Drew McIntyre or Sheamus or Kevin Owens, because I think there's arguments to be made for all three of those. But you know what? I'm not going to be betting against the Bloodline this time. I'm just not. I think that they are going to win somehow. I believe Sami Zayn is going to be involved in the ending of this, the decision of this match. Whether the Bloodline win or lose, I believe Sami will either win the match for his team or he will lose the match for his team. And it's kind of like a choose your own adventure, because that could really set some great storyline stuff off in either way for Sami and the rest of the Bloodline and his relationship he has with the different members. So yeah, my short answer is Bloodline wins. It's also going to be a phenomenal match on paper, so I'm looking forward to that one greatly. Will there be blood in the War Games in the new, in this new main roster, no bleeding era of WWE? There might be some hard way, might be some accidental blood happening, but I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a bloodbath, the way the War Games matches of old were. But I think it's still going to be fun in its own way. There's going to be some dives off the top of the cage for sure. But yeah, Bloodline wins. But those are only my humble picks, folks. What do you think's happening in Survivor Series Brackets War Games? I want to hear about it in the comment section below. Who do you think the fifth woman's going to be? What will the outcome be in the men's War Games match? I am greatly looking forward to this show on Saturday, and I hope you are too. And of course, I'll see you on the other side with my review of Survivor Series. But until then, I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.